This class is going quickly, isn't it? For due dates or deadlines, poof, gone. And what normally happens at this point is now that we're getting into the rhythm of actually having to submit work, people are starting to fall by the wayside. And on the one hand, this is part of why I allow you to revise and resubmit or submit work late, everything except drafts. So the reminder right now is if you still have not submitted draft for project number 1, you can do until today, Monday, September 30th at midnight, and you'll still get full credit. Um, but make sure you do that. And some of you may want to revise your drafts because you did not get full credit for the draft, because in most cases it was you didn't do a listicle, the genre. And I'm trying to point that out to you now because you want to make sure you do the genre so you pass the project. So what I figured I would do um, for this video, besides doing some cheerleading and doing some other comments, I'm going to start with just talking about myself. So I'm going to quickly make this big so you can see me. Hi. And weird, just so you know, sometimes when I'm talking to you all, I have 2 monitors set up, and it's this one over here that has the camera, but this is the one that I'm usually looking at home when I'm recording, and so that's why you'll get the weird angle. But so I figured it was finally time for me to introduce myself, so I'm going to try to look at you and do that. So like I said somewhere, my name is Dr. Shelley Rodrigo. I'm actually a full-time faculty member at the University of Arizona. I was hired at U of A to start their online writing program. So I have been teaching and supporting others teaching online writing for 20 years. A lot of experience doing this stuff. And part of why I moonlight at GCC is because, one, I'm allowed to moonlight because I do the OER project, meaning that I don't require you all to buy textbooks. However, kind of the price you pay is my classes are, because I'm an administrator, and I also teach graduate students at University of Arizona, I actually don't get to teach first year composition that much. And I mean, that's the bread and butter of what I've done historically. That's what I administer. And so part of what why I work with you all moonlighting is, one, it lets me teach first year composition. And two, though, I'll be honest, you're a little bit of a guinea pig if you didn't figure that out already with like perusal. And you'll also get to, and starting in unit 2, play with power notes. But just keep reminding yourself sometimes when you're like, oh, Shelley, what do you mean I'm a guinea pig? You're a guinea pig who did not have to buy a textbook. So remind yourself of that. But if you get stuck with the technologies, talk to me. So for example, I will quickly say, hold on, I'm going to diminish this and I'll come back to introductions in a minute. I do want to quickly draw your attention to perusal. Oh, wants me to log in again. So just quickly draw your attention to perusal. A couple things. One, there's the assignments page. Two is, some of you may have realized, there was one reading in here, I forgot to make an assignment, but it was still under documents. It was, I forget, I think it was listicle examples or listicle readings. It was one of these two that I didn't make an assignment. But just notice that you can find things in documents and you can find them in assignments. In either view, you can open the document and make comments on them. The main thing I just want to draw your attention to, I'm still fiddling with this, but one of the things I fiddled with is I rearranged the assignment portion of it, that it isn't emphasizing commenting as much. However, you should comment. But it still does register whether or not you opened the file. Oops, went too far out. Register whether or not you opened the file. I don't want to pull up, let's see, analytics. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I'm figuring these things out, but it registers in a, if I hit gradebook, then it's showing grades, and don't want to do that. That breaks FERPA, your privacy. but it does register whether or not you opened the file. So when I say you didn't do the reading, it's because according to Perusal, you didn't open the file. Now, if that's not the case, talk to me. Some of you have, like I know mobile devices, I think fiddle with it, or if you download it straight. But otherwise, in most cases, if you opened it and read it, especially if you make a comment, it registers that you were in there. So yes, all that to say, go back to big screen. All that to say is that yes, this is why I teach at GCC, but I taught in Mesa Community College full-time for 9 years, so teaching in Maricopa and knowing the student population in Maricopa is not new to me. And I know a lot of my own research I do is based on teaching and learning and online learning. And to be blunt, I know you're busy. That's what research I read and research I do shows. And that's why I have policies like revising and resubmitting or submitting late, with the exception of draft and peer reviews. And those are exceptions because your classmates are dependent upon you submitting those on time for them to then do their work on time. So the ones who are staying up, it's not fair for them to not have that opportunity. I can say, though, after 20 years of experience, that if you fall more than 2 due dates behind, the likelihood of you successfully catching up starts to plummet. So I want to acknowledge life happens. You get sick, a child or someone else you take care of gets sick, work calls in, anything like that. I know that you have reading for another class took twice as long as you expected it to. I know those things happen, and that's why I'm flexible with the deadlines. But it's important that you get caught up as quickly as possible, because the further you fall behind, the less likely it is you will successfully catch up. Okay, so other things about me. If you flipped through the introductions when I replied to people, I think I did put in a picture of I'll get it out, Gemma, my St. Bernard. I also have 2 cats. Sometimes they do this as, the video's made, not right now. What other stuff? Yeah. Now, last though, again, I said I'm full-time at University of Arizona, so that means I'm down in Tucson, and that's why occasionally I have students go like, can we meet? And I'm like, not really, or not face-to-face. I'm happy to call, talk on the phone. I'm happy to do a web meeting that's like this. I'm happy to do chat, but the likelihood of us meeting face-to-face is probably not happening. Occasionally I do come up there. Okay, so enough about me. Now I'm going to shrink the picture of me and go back to stuff I need to talk about. Okay, so the first and foremost announcement I have to make is people don't move the cheese. Okay, so and I'm really torn on this. On the one hand, I am ecstatic that someone is, I think I moved project 1 back in here. Someone is moving the files in their Google Drive and making the files their own. So I'm ecstatic you're doing that. The problem is this, is that when you move, so someone moved project 1 syllabus and project 1 folder out here into their own My Drive area. When you move those files out of the shared, all of a sudden no one else can edit in them. So they couldn't, so whoever moved the project 1 folder, once you moved it, the rest of your classmates couldn't put files in it. So it's really, really important. Feel free to move the shared folder. So for you all, the easiest way to find the shared folder is, oops, I hit shared drives. Go down to shared with me, over here on the left, shared with me. Find the shared folder. Now please note the shared folder is not in my shared with me because I'm the one who shared it with you. But here I've got this 102 course documents. Grab the shared folder, click on it, drag it up to My Drive, and then it will drop in here and be a part of My Drive. So if you want to organize things, please do it at the shared folder level. Please do not do it within the shared folder. Similarly, someone else renamed it also. And again, please keep shared there, because that's kind of a reminder to everyone, you, me, everyone, that this is a folder that multiple people have access to. So yes, the Google Drive cheese, please do not move the cheese. But I'm excited that some of you are learning and feel comfortable moving that. Okay, so a couple reflections upon looking at people's work for the past 2 due dates. I was really excited, the Motivate Yourself. It seemed a lot of you were really excited about a bunch of these apps and how they helped and just prompted you to put words on the page. And the two, I just wanted to share the two that were used the most, and this is typically normal, is Written Kitten and 750 words. A couple of you did do Write or Die. At this point, all I can say is thankfully it's not, Write or Kitten Die or something like that, because that would be really kind of horrific. But I'm excited that you all are excited, and I hope you could potentially come back and consider using these, especially when you're just stuck, because it's just about getting words on the page. Okay. 4-1. Uh, some of you, not many of you got full credit for 4-1. The fact checked your memories. It was 3-2-2. 3 is actually a typo, but it's a typo in the document. That's why I leave it 3. It's supposed to be an E, but it was one of the activities at the end of that page. And it was checking details by interviewing someone. So 1, you actually had to go interview someone and kind of report back on that. But 2, please note, blah, blah, note that I asked for a thank you note, and that, one of the criteria here includes a copy of a thank you note. I had people who took pictures of handwritten notes, did a screenshot of an email, and did a screenshot of a text thank you. So something, just, you ask someone for your time. I'm prompting you to make sure you thank them. Okay. Then my last comments, I'm looking at my notes. My last comments are on the first drafts of Project 1. So again, thank you everyone who got those in, and a reminder for everyone that if you get it in before midnight tonight, Monday, September 30th, you'll still get full credit for this. So a couple things I want to comment on the drafts. 1, I'm asking for a listicle. I mean, the whole point of us reading and analyzing the genre of listicles is because that's what I'm asking you to do. So a few of you wrote essays, and you did not get much full credit for the draft because it was not in listicle genre form. So please go back and do that. And I I'd rather you fix that now, and then when you're getting more feedback from classmates, you can focus on the list items and the content in the list items instead of getting feedback from classmates on something that is just the completely wrong genre. So yes, a couple of you need to rewrite entire paper. A few of you, it's interesting because this is the first time when I did this where I wanted to emphatically say, hey, you've written a bunch of stuff already. Go get that and start from that. What was then interesting is a few of you kind of submitted that, or I mean, either submitted that just entirely, like slapped together notes, or submitted, what was interesting is multiple topics. And so I'm just reminding you that all these activities listed here, due date 2/6 through due date 4/1, we're all trying to get you to figure out what topic you want to do and then keep narrowing it to a specific topic. So your draft should, 1, just be one topic, and 2, it should be in listicle format. So that means that in all these activities, you should have little pieces, but you shouldn't necessarily be using all of the pieces because some of it's for materials some of it's for a topic that you decided not to go with. So again, some folks might need to revise their draft there. A couple other reminders. 1, please note on the assignment prompt for project number 1. Let's find it. There we go. Let's make it big so it's easier to read. And I'm highlighting. Includes at least 5 list elements sections. Notice I use the word at least. That means minimum. So one of the things that's always interesting to me on this assignment is I'll get a bunch of listicles with 5 elements. And my question always is, well, was 5 really the right number? So like the folks who submit 6 or 7 list elements, I'm like, yeah, you did as many as you needed. And there was, I think, 2 folks in drafts who only had 4. And I knocked them down in the draft because it said 5, but then I also left the note. I'm like, if you can really argue to me that your list topic 4 is the appropriate amount of list elements, cool. I mean, at that point, you're making the argument, and that's cool, and I'm okay with that. But what I've just found is 5 is usually the good round number. But I want to remind everyone, is 5 really the appropriate number for whatever your list topic is and whatever it is you need to say about your list? So keep that in mind. The last thing I have for you all is if we go into drafts, I want to draw your attention to on here on the left. Oh, and just in case, if you look at this and go like, mine doesn't look this way, up here in the right hand corner, there's grid view. I'm going to click on it, changes to grid view. I confess I hate grid view. It just doesn't, it's inefficient for me. I like list view. But what I want to draw your attention to is that there's Google Docs. That's the little blue square with the lines. And then there's Word documents, Microsoft Word documents. I need everyone who submitted a Word document to convert it. So if you open it as a Google Doc, and then you go up here, and I have to find where this is. There we go, save as a Google Doc. So what that now means is there's 2 copies of Elise's draft in the folder here. So I'm going to refresh this and we'll find both copies. So notice there's 2. I'm now going to delete her Microsoft Word version because we have a Google Doc version. So everyone else in there, or if you get in here and you read somebody's before they get to do it. So again, you just right click, open with Google Docs, and then come up here over to File and save as a Google Doc. And then ideally you come back out here and we'll get it. Delete the one that's Microsoft. Okay. I think that is everything. Nothing else on my list. Thank you for all your hard work, and keep on working. Oh, hey, I guess I should talk about due date 5. Yeah, let's do that. Let's end on that. So due date 5 is this Wednesday. Please notice now you're going to be doing work, including like what you did at the end of due date 4, where you're looking for images. You're going to be doing work to continue improving your draft. So you're going to work on beginnings, introductions and conclusions. You're going to work on thinking about like, in this sense, it says paragraph, but thinking about your list element, is it cohesive? And then also transitions before and after and what order you put them in. And then finally, putting those images in there and making sure you cite them. And you'll end the due date with a revised draft of Project 1. Here's the important thing, folks. I'm going to draw your attention to, I want to find someone who originally wrote, here we go, in a Google Doc. When I go to look at your drafts, I'm going to come up here, File, Version History, see Version History, and I'm going to make sure you actually made changes over here on the right. So don't plan on just submitting the same one. Now, granted, the big changes there should be pictures now. However, I just want to show you that version history is there, and I will be using it to kind of check in and see that you actually went in there and you continue to work on your draft. So I guess now I'll really end, and the message I'll end with is, I know this might be frustrating because you're like, 2 drafts? You're having us write 2 drafts and then you're going to peer review and revise? Yes. But I'm just going to end with, writing is revising, period. Good writing is revising. Good writing, you don't just spit out and then send off. Good writing is something that you draft and then you give it time away and the ability for someone else to look at it as much as your context gives you. I mean, sometimes we have emails and our good writing is just write it, and even if it's just, do something else for 5 minutes and come back to it, hopefully with a fresh set of eyes. Good writing is revision. So realize that's what we're doing in this class, is you're drafting and you're revising and you're getting feedback and you're revising and then you're submitting your final version. And good writing is never done. It's only due because you're continuing to revise. Okay. Have a good Monday.